session in second semester MA Sociology on the topic Advanced Social Research Methods by Jyoti S. Nair. She is the Assistant Professor and Head Research and Postgraduate Department of Sociology, Government 𝐾𝐼𝐸 Arts and Science College, 𝐸𝐸𝐸, Trivandrum. So I welcome all of you and welcome, Madam. Now we can sessions.
Thank you. Thank you, Niyaz. Good morning, all. It's a pleasure to meet you during the lockdown. As we have seen, we are about to talk about the class is about the course Advanced Social Research Methods, and this particular module is a module on validity, reliability, and causality and replication. And the slide I am going to present here is shared with you now, and you will be seeing it from now. Yes, this is a slide in which I have mentioned that this is the criteria of the social research. The social research, as you know, I have studied in the first module itself. Okay, so the criteria of social research, the different criteria in the social research are mainly recognized as validity. In your syllabus, it is given as validity, reliability, causality, representation, and replication is also there. And so we are about to discuss the different criteria. As you're familiar, in the first module itself, we have discussed about the research, what are the different types of research, etc. So now you are asked to learn about the criteria, so that when you are about to do a research, you will remember all the things you will have to take care of. So mention is made about the criteria of social criteria in social research, and one by one you will be learning all these concepts, all these concepts, which is technical and at the same time very much user friendly. It is practical, and it should be used by all of you. It should be taken care of when you are doing the research. And I will try to show the importance of this the criteria by mentioning about the Nobel Prize, because the Nobel Prize winner of the last year, Abhijit Banerjee, Esther Duflo, and Michael Kremer, they did their study among using an experimental approach, which we in sociology we refer it as classical experimental design. And in this measure, they try to measure the poverty, health, education, etc. And on the basis of this, they have the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences recognized their research, and they were conferred a Nobel Prize in 2019. And it said that they have done something very much they have used experimental approach, and they have done a research which will be making a lot of policy implications. And in the scientific note of the particular this is a background paper, scientific background paper published by the Swedish Academy, in order to highlight the research, the strength of the research that they have made. And in that, this is titled as Understanding Development and Poverty Alleviation. And according to, as we as students and scholars, we have to identify, we have to learn, as we read through this particular paper, we come across a term known as external validity. External validity, because they say that the Academy is claiming that the particular Nobel Prize is given because this study that Abhijit Banerjee and Duflo has done is having external validity. And it also says that the causality is established. Also, these are the different technical terms which is used when a prestigious award is conferred on a research. So we have to identify we have to learn about what are these basic concepts, basic technical terms which define the quality of the research. So in our today's lecture, we'll be dealing with all the 4 criteria which define the quality of social science research. So from this, we can move on to what is social research. As we are learned in the first module, what is the definitions of different types of social research. I would like to reiterate one important point regarding social research, that is, there are different definitions about social research, and the definition by the Charles Ragan is very interesting because he has drawn only 2 elements. That is, he says that It is the interaction between, social research is an interaction between ideas and evidence. Ideas. That is, a researcher will be having certain ideas. The researcher will have to collect the evidence. And if the researcher is collecting the evidence, they will be able to extend, revise, and test the idea. So if I'm saying that I have an idea for improvement of the standard of living of slum dwellers, I will have to extend it, I will have to revise it, and I will have to test the idea. And when we are doing the research, I said that we are trying to create and validate theories. The explanations we are always trying to create or validate the theories. And throughout the social science research, what is done is that we are collecting data, the data is analyzed, and the ultimate goal of research is exploration, description, and explanation. Everything is about describing, exploring, explaining, etc. And one particular aspect of social research is that it is trying to find out the patterns of regularity in the social life. And it is also about the social groups. That is what makes the social research very unique, because it's about we are trying to make we are trying to analyze the patterns of regularity, as well as we are mainly studying about the social groups. And now we are going into another aspect of how this is just a recollection of what you have studied already. What type of explanations can we make in the social research? We are all we have seen in the definition that it's about explaining, it's about describing, it's about exploring. So when you add what type of approach, what approach you can rely on this regard, Ranjit Kumar in his book has mentioned that there can be two approaches. That is, one is ideographic approach and another is a nomothetic approach. Ideographic approach means you are giving all possible explanations to a particular event. All possible explanations are given to a particular event. You are stressing on a particular event and you are drawing all possible explanations. And in the case of nomothetic, what happens is that you are studying about a class of events. You are studying about different events, and then you are trying to identify the different factors behind it. So this type of, you can study about one thing and you can draw all the explanations about that thing, or you can study about a series of things and you can identify the causal factors. So in this book, they have referred to an example of people trying to choose trying to choose a job. When you are drawing an ideographic explanation to it, you can make a particular person and then you can identify all the possible reasons why he have chosen this particular job. And when you are thinking in the other way, and if you are going for a nomothetic explanation, then you can identify why the different job applicants or particular type of people are choosing a particular job. For if you are seeing that there is a rush for studying for getting a job in the data analytics, you can identify what are the different reasons why there is a rush for this particular job. So these are the different types. So in order to have an idea in your mind regarding the type of social research you are about to do, these type of approaches you can think about. What is, do I need to have an ideographic approach, or should I have a nomothetic approach to research? So underlying this approaches, there are two main designs in sociology which we follow, that is qualitative design and quantitative design. The first one, the ideographic approach, is mainly taken up by the qualitative researchers, and the nomothetic explanation is basically taken up by the quantitative researchers. So I think this is sort of some sort of recollection of what we have learned in the other classes. And then we are in all type of research. When you are about to do the research, there are certain fundamental questions that which come to your mind. Actually, it should be in the same way. You should be thinking about the different questions that you have to answer, or you have to explain in your research. Before taking up the research on a particular aspect, you have to identify whether that is existing in reality. That is an objective reality. For example, if you say that if you see that the people are having a particular sort of problem in a particular area regarding the waste dumping in a particular area, you can go and look into that area, you can see, you can observe, and you can identify the gravity of the issue. And then you can say, yes, this is a particular sort of problem. This is a social issue because different people are involved in it. There are long-term consequences are there. So you can study this because this is a reality which exists outside the persons. So which is on which you can do observations, you can collect informations, and you can analyze it, and you can arrive at a conclusion, and you can also give the policy suggestion to the government bodies. So this is the ontology. That is this particular question. This sort of questions are generally compiled and is named as, and it is said to be the ontological questions. The ontological questions is basically about whether you can do a study about a particular thing. Is it observable? Can it be understood? Can we ask the people about it? And this sort of analysis is made, then you can make sure that you can be very sure of yourself that this particular study can be adopted as your research, or this particular topic can be chosen as your topic of research. And next is epistemology. That is about the knowledge background, what all knowledge is there to study this particular problem. For example, if you're studying about the solid waste management, what are the different knowledge, information that I can get, whether I can get the information from books, journals, whether I can collect more information from the databases. All these are what sort of information I will get. This particular aspect is referred to as the epistemological questions. So when you are doing your research, you should have an awareness about from what all sources I will get the knowledge, pieces of knowledge to study this particular problem. So when you are searching for those sort of origin of the sources of knowledge, then it is known as that you are having epistemological queries. And then the last one is how can we acquire the knowledge, the knowledge can be acquired. For that, you need to collect data. And on the basis of data, there are two types of data, the primary data and secondary data is there. And for helping you in collecting the data, there are different type of methods. Quantitative methods, qualitative methods are there in sociology. Quantitative as well as qualitative methods are used. And now we have a new design known as mixed design also, in which you are bringing about together the most strengthy aspects, the most strong aspect of the quantitative and the qualitative together. So this is the basic thing about research. When you are in sociological research, particularly about when you are doing study about a social problem or a social institution, you have to understand. You have to ask yourself what are the ontological questions, what are the epistemological questions, and what methodological issues that will be arising, that for which I will have to find answers. And so this in that, when we come to for the students of sociology, the ontological question is about nature and form of social reality. And then the basic, we'll be having in sociological research, we are having a binary thinking, in the sense whether you have choose from the quantitative research methods or from the qualitative research methods. And in ontology also, you are given the choice of whether you are studying about the reality independent of the social actors. That is, if you are the social reality is just for example, in this particular way of studying, the objectivism is mainly objectivism is the technique that you are relying on. And in that, for example, if you are studying about a college, or a university, then you can study the college or a university in an objective way. In an objective way, in the sense, you can study about the things which you can see and observe and watch, etc. For example, you can study the college on the basis of that how many courses they have, what are the infrastructure facilities that they have, how many students have secured secured jobs, how many campus placements has been done by the institution. So these are certain realities on which you can collect data. It's very easy to collect the data on. These are very yes or no questions, or you will get all the numerical data. So this shows that you can have an objective approach to study of an institution, and this is known as objectivism. So you are really, when you are choosing objectivism, you are becoming a quantitative researcher, in the sense that you are looking for the quantitative data, you are looking for the numerical data. And when the numerical data, in the sense of getting numerical data, you'll have to ask very objective questions, like how many courses are there, since when, how many rank holders are there in this particular college, and for this you'll get data for every year, and also you can compare the data, you can explore more data, and you can bring about that result also. And this is one technique, and this is used by the quantitative researchers. And the other way is you will have to go into the social constructions. Social construction in the sense that what meaning is given to a particular phenomena by the people. For example, in a college, if you are teaching, what is the quality of the teaching? What is the quality of the teaching? What is the quality of the infrastructure? Everything will be there, but nothing will be working. So what is the meaning that the students are giving to this particular observation? For example, when it comes to you'll be knowing about different learner management systems are followed by different colleges and institutions. And if you are looking into the objective data, then you'll find that most of the students are using learner management modules. They are using the learner management system. Everybody is logging in. Everybody is using this for submitting seminars, for submitting assignments, etc. But when you make an observation about, when you ask them the meaning, whether they are very much satisfied with this system, or whether they want to have more and more face-to-face interaction with the teachers, then definitely the students will be giving a meaning to that. Students will be giving their own perceptions to that, and they will be giving their own ideas about how they view all these things. So this sort of analysis of the perceptions of the actors is also very important in research. When you are giving more importance to the perceptions of the actors, then you are becoming a qualitative researcher. That is, you are becoming a researcher who is more oriented towards using the qualitative techniques. So ontology, when you are thinking ontological questions in sociological research, can be on the basis of objectivism, and it also can be on the basis of constructivism. So it's basically your orientation that decides what type of research you will be doing. The ontology has made clear to you that you can be either objectivist or you can be a constructivist. And now we are moving on to the epistemological issues. And in epistemology, as I have mentioned earlier, you are looking at all the knowledge sources. What is acceptable knowledge sources? You are looking into all the knowledge sources. And we know, on the basis of the rational thinking after Enlightenment, the social sciences had a heavy influence from the natural sciences. The same that it was believed that the same techniques which are used in the natural world can be used for studying social problems as well. And this is known as the positivism. In sociology, this is referred to as positivism. In positivism, you believe that the same principles, the same techniques that you employ, the same methods that you employ in the natural world can be used for studying the social world as well. This is known as the positivism. For example, if you are studying about an institution, for example, if you are studying about a particular place or a particular, for example, if you're studying about a coastal population, the fisherman population is studying in the coastal area, and if you are looking into the livelihood aspects of the fishermen, then you can have an information. You'll have a different studies must have been conducted on the livelihood issues of the coastal population, and you can look into that and you can identify the different criteria, different indicators which have been developed by the livelihood development index also, regarding what are the means to the resource, how they access to the resources, how they are accessing the resources, or what are the main means of their expenditure, what is the standard of life, etc. All these things can be understood by looking into the studies which have been done in a positivist way, which have collected data, which have analyzed the data, and then you will have an idea about. You can also conduct the same study and look into the different factors about what is the livelihood means, who all are catching fish. Is the catching fish more profitable than the selling of the auctioning and selling of the fish? So this sort of comparison you can make, and all this information you can get from the positivist methods, the knowledge which is compiled by using positivist methodology. And then on the other hand, you can also have a subjective understanding of the social action. Then you are giving an interpretivistic approach. You are taking an interpretive. You are looking into the knowledge which are having an analysis about the interpretation of the people. The interpretation of the people, that is a subjective meaning that is given by the people. For example, if you think that you are about, there is because of the coastal erosion due to global warming, you have to displace or you have to rehabilitate a particular coastal population. Then what happens is that you will have to go into the meanings, that you will have to talk to them, you will have to understand which area they would like to move, and you will have to understand what are the different ideas they have in their mind about the type of the house they need, whether what are the different type, whether they like to change the occupation. All these things you will have to ask them, and then you will have to have a subjective meaning. Then you will get a subjective understanding. You will have to move into the meaning that the people are attaching to what is happening around them, what is their opinion about others. So this sort of studies, this sort of analysis will help you in understanding the interpretation. And then methodology, when you have chosen between the objectivism and constructivism, and when you have chosen between the positivism and the interpretivism, you are basically fixed. You have an idea in your mind regarding the methodology that you are going to adopt. So if you are chosen the objectivist approach, and if you are relying on the positivist knowledge, then you are going to do a quantitative research. This is some sort of the liking towards approach that you are going to adopt. And then there is also if you are going the other way, if you are more interested in the constructivism, you are interested in talking to the people and understanding the meaning that they have about a particular problem, then. And if you are if you are interested in interpreting all these things using the different theoretical perspectives which you have studied in which you will be studying, like phenomenology approaches, hermeneutics, symbolic interactionism, etc. In these approaches, you are going into the details of the meanings that the people have constructed, and you are also and then your methodology are basically of two types, quantitative and qualitative, and in Creswell has also added the methodology of mixed methods. So this is about, so we have explained about the three, about the ontological issues, epistemological issues, and the methodological issue. So basically, when you are when you are choosing a topic, and when you are having an understanding about the type of research that you want to do, you are choosing between the options of objective quantitative research and quantitative research. Then the next job is the development of the concepts that you want to study. Concepts are very important in any social research. So concepts are the building blocks of a theory and research, and it is a main point on which the social research is conducted. And Breiman has defined that concept is a label. If you are collecting everything in a particular, if you are collecting red marbles in a particular jar, and then you are marking as red, then you are giving it as a label. So this is what we do with the concept. In social research, all the phenomena having common features and which are very significant to us as a researcher, we usually label them, and we usually keep them apart for our analysis, for our purposes. So this is the concept, and the concepts are there is a need for the measurement of concepts. It's very important in sociology. Also, we are very keen to measure the concepts, particularly particularly in the quantitative research. And these concepts, when you are why you are measuring concepts. For that, Aaron Ryman has said that when you are measuring the concept, you will be able to identify the differences between why. For example, if you are taking about the concept of gender, if only because there is a concept of gender, you are able to differentiate between the people. It is a yardstick. It will become a yardstick. And all the applications, the second column will be age and gender, because it's a yardstick to understand how many male are there, how many female are there, and how many transgender or other sex claimed other sex are there. So this sort of and you will be able to arrive at a precise estimate degree of relationship. In the patriarchy, the idea of patriarchy is based on this, the degree of relationship. The gender, the female gender is always subjugated by the male gender. This is, or the there had to be a equality between both the genders. So the relationships, the arts, it will become if you are adopting if you are developing a concept, then it will help you in understanding the differences. It will help you in it will help you in measuring several other things, and it will also help you in understanding the relationships. So other than the concepts which are there in the world, like different concepts are in sociology, we have the most important concept, caste, class, power, etc. These are different concepts around which most of the sociological theories are developing. And when you are a researcher, you have the freedom to develop your own concepts. That is a freedom that we enjoy as researchers. And in that, what happens is that when you are about to measure a concept, the second option that arises before you is to develop it as an indicator. In order to all the concepts are, particularly from the angle of a researcher, most of the concepts can be measured only when it is converted to indicators. This is with reference to quantitative research, and you have any number of examples from the social all the international bodies are developing indicators. One of the most important indicators you'll be familiar with is Human Development Index, which is based on the indicators. And now in this study, I have given that it's a UNICEF study on child protection, and in that they have developed indicators to measure how the adult attitude, what is the adult attitude towards corporal punishment at home, and they have asked questions regarding when will you punish the child. Whether if it is when leaves the home without informing, or it does a damage to himself, or when it is disobedient to the elder, or when he or she argues with the sibling. So these are the indicators developed by UNICEF to measure the child protection or the adult attitude towards the child punishment which is given to the children. So in this way, when you are doing research, you can also develop a concept of your own, and you can also develop indicators to measure this concept. And what happens is that it is here where the criteria of research is very important. Because when you are developing a concept, when you are developing an indicator for measuring the concept, what happens is that you will have to be very, very careful regarding whether it is valid, whether it is reliable, whether it is establishing a causality, and whether it is capable of replication. So one by one, we will be taking all these concepts snapshot. I'm just giving an idea about all these. I'm just giving an idea of the terms, the technical terms, because there are in this technical terms, there are different statistical measurements are there. I'm not going into that statistical measurements because you'll be learning about that in the next module, and it is not possible to mention everything related to the validity measurements when I am dealing with all the four criteria of research. So here, just an information. I'm just giving the information about the validity and reliability, and about the causality, and also about the replication. And then it's your job to look more into that, and you'll have to understand the finer differences between these, and you'll have to look into that, and you'll have to bring it in your research when you're going to do it in your fourth semester. So the first thing about validity, which most of the writers on research methodology has mentioned is that validity is basically about the integrity of the conclusions. Integrity of the conclusion. When you are doing a study and when you say that my study is valid, it is on the basis of the validity, that is integrity of the findings. And Alan Rayman has made different writers and the scholars about in the research methodology has analyzed a validity in different type of way. So I am adopting the thing which was contributed by Alan Rayman. In Alan Rayman, in his method of research methods, has identified 4 types of validity. 4 types of validity. Its first one is measurement validity, and second one is internal validity, and third one is external validity, and fourth one is ecological validity. This 4 types of validity, the technical terms, you will have to understand very keenly, because how is validity measured? If you are asked, if somebody asks you why is your study, why is your research valid, then you will have to memorize all these different types of validity, and you will have to answer on the basis of different different types of validity. For example, if you are going for an interview after your PG to a prestigious research institute, and you are having a proposal with you, and if they ask you, do you think that your study have internal value? Then you'll have to identify what is the concept of internal value. And then you'll have to think about this concept that you have the concept, and then you'll have to identify how in your study there is internal validity. And so these are certain technical terms which you'll have to by heart, you have to be in your mind, so that you can recollect it, retrieve it whenever you want, and you can when you answer all the queries related to your research. So first one is measurement validity. The measurement validity is it is basically used in the quantitative research, and in this type of in this particular validity, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to analyze whether we have collected all the details about the concept which we are going to measure. For example, if somebody is telling you that it is on the basis of Human Development Index, this country is far more better than this country, then you will get an idea of, if you are aware of human development indicators, you will have an understanding about, they are mentioning about the standard of life, they are mentioning about education, they are mentioning about the health situation, etc. So these 3 indicators come to your mind, and then you are analyzing the country situation. Or if you are saying that the Kenya is better than Nigeria because the Kenya has better Human Development Index, you may be knowing nothing about Kenya, but you understand the situation by just looking into the 3 aspects that they have taken. For example, you can understand that the health situation is better. You can understand the education is better. The income level, the standard of living and income level is also better. So this shows that you have a theoretical assumptions, and when you are using the theory to make a measurement which is correctly measuring the concept. The measurement validity refers to whether the measure of the concept is on the basis of the theory, and also whether you have developed the questions related to the concepts, and whether you have used it in your study. For example, if you are going to study about the healthy eating habits among the college-going students or school students, then you have to learn about the different theoretical approaches towards the healthy eating, and then you will have to ask those questions about healthy eating. You will have to ask the questions about healthy eating in the questionnaire, and you will have to ask about all these things, whether the food, the fiber content, where do you think you get the fiber content from, the protein content from. So these sort of questions should be included in your schedule. Only then the schedule will have construct validity. So this measurement validity shows that it's an indicator that whatever concept that you have arrived is on the basis of the theoretical readings, of theoretical assumptions that you have, and whether the concept is actually measured in the instrument that you are having which you are developing. Right. For example, when you are about to do a research on the healthy eating, your instrument, your questionnaire or schedule or observation schedule, anything should have all the components related to healthy eating. If you have made sure that you have exhaustively covered all the concepts related to healthy eating in your instrument, then you can be very sure that your study is having measurement validity or construct validity. So this is measurement validity. And next one is internal validity. Internal validity is also related to the issue of other criteria, that is causality. And it's very simple to understand. It's very simple to understand in the sense that when you are doing a research, you will be having a lot of independent variables, and you will be having dependent variables. And you will the independent variables, for example, in the case of healthy eating habits, your dependent variable is healthy eating habits, and your independent variable are the gender of the respondents, the age of the respondents, the socioeconomic background of the respondents, etc. And you will have to, while going to the field, after the research, you will have to identify the most important thing regarding which has a very important correlation with the dependent variable. If a junk food consumption is studied among the +2 students, then you will be having different independent variables like that just say erratic study timings. For they'll be early morning, they'll be going for the tuition, they'll not be having time to pack lunch, and they'll be having the influence of the friends, and then they'll be having money with them. So among them, which is the most determinate thing when it comes to having more of food, fast junk foods? So if you are able to identify the most important for most highly correlated variable, highly correlated independent variable, which is causing a change in the dependent variable, then you can be very sure that your study is having internal validity. And for this, we have many type of statistical tests are there, like chi-square tests are there. There are different types of statistical tests to identify which is the independent variable which is having a very high correlation with the dependent variable. But so this you will have to you will have to have a measurement validity in which you are understanding all the questions related to the junk foods are included in your questionnaire, and you are also including every different type of population is included in your study. And then you can understand, after the research is undertaken, you can identify which particular independent variable is having an impact on the dependent variable of junk food consumption. So this is the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable is what decides the internal validity of your study. And then you have external validity. This was mentioned in the Nobel, that scientific explanation given to the Nobel laureates on economics, that their study had external validity. So what is external validity? The external validity shows that the results of the study can be generalized. If the sample is taken in a very scientific way, the study that the Nobel laureate conducted was known as randomized controlled trials, in which the randomly they decided on the population randomly. They gave all sort of the control experiments was done. For that both experimental group and control group was there. So this shows that you should be objective in studying, selecting the sample. If there is a sample is selected in a very scientific way, then the results can be generalized. If the results can be generalized on the basis of a representative sample, then definitely you can claim that your study have external validity. This is what is meant by external validity. And next, ecological validity. This is very important nowadays, because ecological validity says that if you're going to do a study, you should be doing the study in the natural settings, where the people are there. Important was in because sociology is a subject in which we have a lot of qualitative technique. We promote a lot of qualitative techniques. So ecological is very important. So just required, and also you are trying to external where you have external value, that the sample is very representative. And then as you can also look into whether you have the ecological validity by looking into whether you have gone to the field, whether you have sensed the field context, etc. So these are the 4 types of validity. And next one is reliability. Reliability means how far the reproducibility of the result. Reproducibility of the result, which means whether the concepts, whether the research can be reproduced, whether the research and the methods that you have used will give the same results if it is repeated. So reliability, according to Alan Bryman, is the consistency of measures. It is about the measurement techniques that you have used. Reliability, and it is basically reliability is measured using Bryman has mentioned in this way, that is about stability and internal reliability and inter-observer consistency. And regarding the reliability, it's very highly on the basis of the reliability is decided on the basis of the different statistical tests. But you have to understand the concept of what are the different types of stability, how the stability is measured. When it comes to stability, we have to have an understanding of whether the instrument, the questions we have developed in one group, which we have developed, if it is given to one group and if it is re-administered, whether the people will give the same answers. If you are asking about what is your opinion about a particular event, what is your opinion about article Bongala, or if you are asking about an opinion of a particular thing, and if you are asking it, the same questionnaire is administered at another time, or little after some time, when will the same results be obtained? So this is a method this is a technique which we use to ensure the reliability of the study. This is known as stability, and in this the technique adopted is test and retest, in which we will be using the same questionnaire, but we will be administering it in a different point of time, but to the same respondents. The respondent should be same, but the questionnaire should be administered at 2 points of time. So if you are getting the same results both times, then you can be sure that your instrument is stable and you will get reliable results. And then next one is internal reliability. Internal reliability is also the same. Is another measure of reliability in which you have taken up an indicator. You have used an indicator to measure a concept, and then you are splitting it into two halves, and at one time you will be giving one set of questions, and the other time you will be giving the other set of questions. And if there is correlation between the two answers, the correlation coefficients are similar, then you can understand that your test is, that your indicator is reliable. For example, you can take it as your own feedback. That for if you're teachers, or if you are you can take feedback. If you're teachers, you can take the example of and if you are as a students, you can think about the feedback about your seminar. You can, after conducting the seminar, you can ask your friend to write the feedback. You can make a questionnaire and give to them, and you can ask them to make give them first a set of indices, and they'll give you a particular mark, particular score, and then you can give the other set of indicators. Then these two indicators given at that time, at different times, and so when the scores are correlated, then you can identify whether there is internal reliability. So this is another measure. In this, we use the technique of split half method. And then the other one, the third reliability measure is inter-observer consistency, in which identifying for example, if most of the research are done by multiple colleagues, multiple colleagues. For example, you are collaborating with other person, you are doing a group project. Then what happens is that you will be making each one of you will be making an observation. And when you are categorizing these observations, you will be having a certain biases in your mind. For example, if you are analyzing about the media violence in media, what your perception of media violence will be different from your friends. So what happens is that there will be a clash of interest. Sometimes you will be classifying certain things as violent, and the other person will not be considering that as violence. So two observers are observing a phenomena and they have a difference of opinion, then that is known as then there is an issue related to inter-observer consistency. For that, you will have to sit together, you will have to make a classification so that the subjective judgment of the researcher will not intervene in deciding the different categories for the measurement. And so now we have reached the third criteria, that is causality. the three reliability measurements were whether looking reliable, you can understand whether your research is reliable by looking into whether it's stable, or whether the instrument is stable, whether the instrument is having inter-observer consistency, and also by looking into whether there is internal reliability of the study. So causality, causality is related to, this criteria is related to the internal validity. In the validity, we have discussed about internal validity, and causality is also related to internal validity. And in that, the same thing, that is, you have to understand whether you have identified the cause. This is particularly very important in quantitative research. There will be different causative factors, and you will have to identify the correct, not but correct, most highly correlated cause for a particular thing to occur. And this is, for example, in this case, Barnes and Lewin has mentioned three conditions to measure whether the relationship is having, the causal relationship is having is satisfactory. If you're in your study, you have to look into three aspects. First of all, you will have to identify whether there is significant correlation between the cause and effect. In the case of significant correlation, say if we are studying about the healthy eating habits among the teenagers, then you'll have to identify whether there is a cause and effect relationship is there, whether the number of people are having junk foods, how is the habit, how is their eating habits, or an awareness. You should have an awareness about what is the cause and what is the effect. And the correlation must be real in the sense there are several other spurious factors which will intervene, and you'll feel like this is what makes it happen. Spurious, many things will be intervening. For example, when it comes to the, for example, if you are going for attending a meeting for a workshop, and if you are learning more from your friend who is sitting beside you, then you may think that it's because of his influence. But the main thing is that it's because of the workshop and because of the things that they have presenting that you are having a discussion in your mind and you are chatting with your friend. So the definitive cause is the workshop, that way in which you are attending the workshop, and it's not to chat with your friend. Sometimes you may, after the class, you think that I learn more than by chatting with my friend rather than with the presentation is happening over there. So this sort of, you'll have to very careful regarding whether what are the different types, curious factors which can come in between to hinder you in your understanding about the relationship between the dependent and the independent variable. And the cause variable, a very important factor is that the causative thing should precede the effect. The cause should come first, and only the effect should come. The cause should be there. Cause should be there. Students, teenagers should be having money with them. They'll be having erratic study timing, and they'll be having what it is for the junk foods. They'll be having so these are the different things that the cause should be coming first, and then only the effect should come. This is also very important thing. And the third one is the criteria is replication. Replication in the sense that the research should be replicated, duplicated, or represented. So when it comes to quantitative research, everything you have done in your research should be written in a very detailed way. What happens is that in the when it is said that the criteria is replication, what is meant is that you have to be very transparent. You will have to be very objective. You will have to, the subjectivity should be limited so that your study can be replicated. So this is what happens when you are about to do a research. You will have to make very clear design. You will have to follow the design, and if you have made any changes in the design, you will have to mention that too also, because if a person is about to do the same research, then you should be very transparent. You should be very clear about what are the different data. You should be very explicit. You should state everything in what you have done in your research. So if you are following this criteria, if you have this in your mind, then automatically you will you will go into detail of everything that you have done, and you will have also mention it in your research report. So this replication means that as a researcher, you will have to ensure that my study is capable of replicating, or the particular study that I have done can be replicated. And with this, we have come to an end to all the 4 criteria. That is validity, reliability, causality, and replication. And now we are just going to we are just recollecting all the points. Validity is mainly about whether we have examined everything, the result, whether it is in the study results, the results is in the there is integrity in the study results. Research has investigated and demonstrated what is set out to investigate, what we wanted to do, what we wanted to find, whether we have achieved it. That is a basic question with regard to validity. Whatever we had in our mind, whether we have attained. This is a simple logic behind validity. And the reliability is the measurement techniques you have used in your research, whether it is reliable, whether it will give the same results if any other person is also using it. And then it is a causality. It is in your research, have you tried to identify the link between the independent variable and the dependent variable? And next is the replication, in which you have tried to find out, you have made it very explicit, you have made it very clear that what all you have done is very much objective, and you have written it everything so that anybody can try to do this research and they may get the same result. So these are the 4 criteria. I thank you and thank every one of you for listening to me. If you have any questions, you can just ask. I will try my level best to answer.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was a very comprehensive class. We have some questions in Q&A session.
Okay.
The first question is, how do you determine the reference or base values for comparing the experimental results?
Okay, how do you determine the
reference or base values for comparing the
base
results?
Yes, this is what I mentioned earlier. That is, this particular class has not gone into details of the research design. The base values, etc., can be understood only by understanding more about the classical experimental design, which is a particular type of quantitative design. In this class, I have not mentioned about that particular thing, and so it is an experimental design. In this experimental design, the reliability is on the basis of the base values that you arrive at. So this class is beyond the particular event, the particular thing that is referred into the question.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have one more question, ma'am. Societies are different and changing over time. In this scenario, how can we make our sociological research more reliable?
That's why we are teaching the students the techniques of making the study reliable. For example, if the societies are changing, for example, if you cannot study about a market just the way you must in the post-pandemic period. Now, after the COVID-19, there is a lot of changes in the society. There will be a lot of changes in the society. We are going to be more social distancing is happening, physical distancing is happening, and so you will have to keep this in mind, and you will have to make your study, all the questionnaire, the instrument that you have developed to measure the study, measure the concepts that you have used should be reliable. For example, the questionnaire, again, when you are going to study the research, when you are going to do a research about a marketplace, then you will have to look into all these details about what are the different safety guidelines that has been set up by the government, and what are the different safety health safeguards given by IMA, etc. And then you, as a researcher, will have to exhaustively read about it, and you will have to incorporate all these things in your research. Then only your study will become reliable. So first what we have to do is that we'll have to have a very much theoretical understanding about a society, about a phenomena in a society before venturing into the research. First of all, a lot of work has to be done at home itself. So you can read a lot. Then you can go to the field, and if you're following a quantitative design, again you can come back, again you can read, and if you go on and forth, back and forth to the field and come back and again read, then automatically your study will become more and more reliable.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have a question. How can we ensure that all kinds of validities are satisfied in a research? Is there any studies like that? All these validities are satisfied. How much important are these 4 validities in research?
The validity, I have said that in the quantitative research, all these validities are very important. In quantitative research, the validity, the measurement validity is very important. Internal validity is very important. External validity is important, and ecological validity is not much important in a quantitative study. But when it comes to a qualitative study, we ensure validity, we ensure reliability, but the causality is also, causality is not expected it's not expected in the sense you can explain about the different about the causes, but you need not establish the relationship, just like what we do in the quantitative research. And the replication is also not it's not a thing which and the ecological validity is also not a thing which we expect from a quantitative research. So so that I think that more validity, all the questions of validity are very important in quantitative research, and some of the questions, some of the issues of validity are not very important in quantitative research.
Okay, ma'am, we have the question here. Which is the commonly used statistical test in this area in our country? Commonly used statistical tests. Ms.
There are
Fifi has
different types of statistical tests. There are different types of statistical tests actually. In sociology, after teaching the methodology, we have a paper on statistics in which most of the variables which we use in sociological research is nominal and ordinal. So it's not ratio and interval scales are not much used. So what happens is that you will have an yes or no question, yes or no type questions, or we'll have an answer of how often do you go to marketplace. Then you'll get frequently, sometimes, never, or I don't know. So these type of the response are what we get in the sociological research. And in that, what happens is that if we use this, you are changing, you are getting an ordinal scale or nominal scale, and for that most appropriate measure is chi-square test. Chi-square test just look into the relationship between the variables. So if you are going to the sociological research, you can rely on the chi-square, but if you are using the SPSS software, you will be giving n number of statistical tools from which you can arrive at the inferences. But you will have to be very careful about the data that you have fed into the SPSS. Only by cleaning the data, only by cleaning the data, that you can attempt to do a very precise statistical test. So basically, as a whole, what we teach the students mostly is about the correlation test, regression test, and about the chi-square test.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we don't have any more questions, ma'am. It's time for winding up. Thank you for your very knowledgeable session. It's very comprehensive, and you explained very well with examples. We are looking forward with more sessions like this. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now we can end the session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Namu. It was a great experience. Thank you.